and welcome back to Monster Minis. So a couple years ago, my dad painted me this 1/20th scale Winter Child, Colonel Ivan Vasilev Smersh from the SSU faction for Dust 1947. He's the only SSU Superhuman, larger scale model, very cool. I love the workup that he did on it. I really like the face, the highlighting, the shadows. I love it. I think one of the cool maturation things in this hobby is when you get far enough along, I feel like, where you feel your work isn't just good enough for the tabletop, it's good enough to share with others. And I feel like when you get to that point, it's pretty fun. You can do projects for people that you care about and things that they think are cool. Unfortunately, it's sat in a box for years. It's sat in a box for way too long, and I was going through my display cabinet and I saw him in the box, and I can't continue to allow a model of this quality sit in a box on a shelf. It needs to be displayed. So I set out to make a small vignette for Ivan that he can live in. So this round wooden base is going to be the foundation for this vignette, and I wanted to give it some more height so that it could sit up off of it a little bit. So I'm taking a piece of this XPS foam. Foolishly used the hot wire to cut this, which ended up leaving a very non-circular, more of an oval cut. But live and learn. On the next one that I do, I'll use my hot wire table, which I think will be a much better result. Fortunately, this is going to get covered up by a veneer that goes around the outside of this. So in the end, I think it works out. Ivan's going to be walking through a burning urban scene, and so I wanted to use the integrated LED in the base and wire it up here so that as he was walking through this scene, he's actually stepping over a burning pile of rubble. I had some leftover veneer from the Normandy Diorama project, link in the description if you're interested. So I wanted to use some of the offcuts from that, which ended up being the perfect size to create a unified base around it. I'm going to use Mr. Mahogany's Surfacer 1000 to prime and unify the groundwork, thinning that down with Mr. Color Thinner. Put some fiberfill in the hole where the LED is to make sure that I didn't paint it while I was painting the groundwork, and unexpectedly really liked how that looked. I felt like it was integrated. I felt like it was giving a little bit of a smoke effect, so I left it. When my dad gave me the completed and painted Ivan, he also gave me this brick wall. This brick wall came... Well, he told me that this brick wall came in the original kit that he'd bought, and he wanted to make sure that I got that. And that was really where the inspiration for this vignette came from, because I really liked the look of this destroyed brick wall, and having Ivan walk beside it would be a pretty cool look. So I wanted to make sure that I incorporated this into the finished vignette. Now, as it turned out, I spent a lot of time painting and highlighting this roof only to later cover it with snow when I realized that this was the Winter Child and this probably needed to be a snow scene. But at the time I was painting the wall, that was not the plan, which is why I spent some extra time highlighting and painting the roof. So I hope you're ready for some super exciting brick wall painting, because that's what's coming next. So I got a bunch of these colors that I liked out and just put them out on an aluminum palette so that I could pick which ones I wanted, and then started just grabbing different variations of the colors and highlighting individual bricks. And I didn't bother cleaning the brush in between each one, because whatever was on the brush already would lend itself to some additional blending and would continue to provide more color variation in the brick. So it was, grab a little blue, grab a little red, grab a little yellow, paint a series of bricks, paint the next brick, and just tried to just build a lot of color variation from yellow to purple in the individual bricks, trying to preserve the highlighting. So giving a little bit of transparency in the paint, not just completely painting over, so that the original highlighting would show through. For the groundwork, I'm going to be using Ammo's Dio dry brush paint. Once again, at the time, I was not intending on covering the scene in snow. I do, though, think that it was worth it. Like, I've gone back and forth on this. I feel like, I ended up covering all of this with snow. Did I waste my time on this? And no, I don't think I did. I think that When you paint everything the way that it should look and then you cover it with snow, I think it does add to the realism because, and at least I know, and now you know, under the snow, it's painted. I'm going to be using Ammo's Enamel Black Wash for the weathering. Just like on the Normandy Diorama, I'm going to be using Minwax's Poly Shades Satin and Poly in 1 in Bombay Mahogany to stain the veneer. Ultimately, I ended up doing 2 coats of this to get the richness that I wanted. I wanted to make sure Ivan had a good solid footing on the base, so I drilled a couple holes in his feet and then pinned him to the base using this brass rod. For the snow effect, I am using Ammo's Winterizer kit. That includes their powder snow, their snow binder, and glossy lucky varnish. For the snow that will be sitting on the roof of the brick wall, when I opened the snow binder, it had dried completely solid, and I was not able to use it. Undeterred, I decided to use the white Ammo Dio dry brush paint as a substitute for the snow binder. It had a similar consistency to the snow binder, and it had the right color, so I decided to give it a go. I don't think it was perfect, but I think it worked. The rest of the snow on the base was applied with a pipette, and it was applied just putting the powder snow directly on the base. Once I was happy with the accumulation of the powder snow, I came in and saturated it with some isopropyl alcohol to break the surface tension and prepare it for a very thinned down, watered down white glue to hold it in place. I really enjoyed building this vignette. It was really fun to focus my efforts into the groundwork and into the scene and not necessarily into the object of the scene, since that was already done for me. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of inspiration. I highly recommend it. If you haven't done it before, do a small scene like this instead of maybe a big diorama, just because you can. It's a lot of fun to do it in a small package. And I am looking forward to being able to display my dad's winter child on this completed vignette. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.